Welcome to another episode of Waldom Executive Series. With me today, Jackie Mattox, founder and CEO of Women Electronics. Jackie, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I know that, of course, you're busy, so finding some time to chat with us, we really appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So we're here actually in Munich today, and why are we in Munich is because you had an amazing event yesterday evening. It was your We United Germany chapter kickoff. It was the first time you were in Germany. And it was such a success because you actually at some point had to search for a second venue because you couldn't fit all the people. So that was amazing. And I personally didn't expect there's going to be so many people. Why do you think it was such a success? Is it that Europe is sending a message we need more of these events?
Well, first of all, I was completely blown away to travel over and to have the welcome that we had was pretty amazing. I would say I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting I would have to do a lot more explaining of what we do. But I think it's a global issue. If we talk about We United, so we'll start with that. Yes, we're women in electronics, but we're moving forward as We United. And that is women supporting other women, men and women coming together, and our entire channel coming together and really having the open and honest discussions that we need to have. And so I think we're reaching a point where the pain point might be getting there, where people are, there's a need for talent. We're kind of starting to burst at the seams, I think, in the industry. And really, we have the talent right under our nose. So they were there in the room. And I think women are really ready. They're ready to go into those next levels. I think the thing that was very heartwarming for me was to see the camaraderie, to see the community, to see men showing up, to see the women and men in collaboration together. So it's really important with an initiative like We to do it together, right? And to never separate. And so to see it in action, I was so inspired just by the people there and just their willingness and how they engaged with each other. And it was really just very, I think it was a message like we need to do this together.
I have to say that from my perspective, it was first of all a great opportunity to network. So I met a lot of people that I never met before, and I've been in the industry for 10 years, so it was really interesting. Sitting at the table with also different people and really hearing that enthusiasm about this is great, this is amazing, we need to do more of this. So I think it was really great to see also many people actually flying from other countries to come just for the event. FYI, I flew from Amsterdam just for the event. So I was very surprised to see the all the positive energy, and I think really people really wanted an event like this. So that was amazing. I think also the topics we covered were very interesting. I like what you mentioned there that it's. I didn't know this transition from Women in Electronics to We United. Now I understand very well. The message behind, and it's really I like how you explained the superpower of women and men, and how when we work together we can actually make really great things happen. And there's some really good statistics behind that. So can you maybe share just some of the things you shared yesterday in the event?
Yeah, so all the data shows that women, so by the way, we focus on our US data because it's so much harder to get the data here in Europe, but we're trying really hard. But it looks like our data tracks. It really appears very similar. So just preface that this is US based data. So we graduate in 59% women graduate. That's undergrad and college. And as we go up in our career progressions, we're actually going down in numbers. So we end at 8% women in Fortune 500 CEO positions, tracks to our data in the industry because we only have about 8% of women in leadership roles. I think what has happened too is there's all kinds of bias that come into play. And so when we start talking about women more and elevating women, it's like buying a car. You start seeing the car you bought everywhere. So people have a perception that things have changed and gotten better because they're noticing women more, but it doesn't mean that the data represents the actual numbers. So we are that dedicated organization that pays attention to the data. We don't go by emotions and what we think, we go by what the data shows us. So I think the message that I can send is don't go by what we feel. Some people will say at the last, there was an industry executive event, and it was amazing to hear so many people saying, oh my goodness, there were so many more women. We're making such progress. When we actually looked at the data, it was not true. It had been less than normal. And so when we look at the data, when we started in 2017, we had 15% women in leadership roles. 2024, we have 8%.
Oh, that was shocking to me. And that's why I wanted to bring it up here, because I have the same impression as you said. I'm in marketing. And so, of course, in marketing, I'm working with a lot of women as well from our distributor and manufacturer partners. And so my impression is, I mean, we're doing great. There's a lot of women in our industry. But then, as you said, I go to some conferences, I go to some events, and I look around and I don't see that many women. Then I go into some, I would say, almost C-level meetings, and I see very few women. And then I like what you mentioned yesterday when you said, we're not talking emotions, we're talking data here. This is data. And I think this was really an eye-opener for many of us who were at the event yesterday, and we were even talking about this at the table. That again, it's one thing is impression and what we see, and the other thing is actually the numbers. So you don't have numbers for Europe, but you could sense sort of that there is a
Very
little
similar.
bit, it's very similar.
If not even a little more disparagement, to be quite honest, it seems. So the point is, we have a long way to go. We really, so it's encouraging me to stay the course, to keep doing what we're doing. I would say looking out at the room and seeing that we have all the talent we need right under our noses. So my message would be to all those leaders out there who say, we have a talent crisis. We need more talent. We're just not willing to look at the talent we already have. So I would encourage leaders to start looking at your female leaders too, looking at a diverse population of leaders. So all the data, as we showed, supports that the more diverse you are in your leadership team, the more your relative returns are going to go up. It's just the data is proven it. And I think what we have to do right now is start educating those in the higher levels of the organization to understand it's not just others. It all starts with that leadership team. It really does.
And I think this is the key, something that I was really reflecting after the event. And I was thinking, okay, I'm at Waldom for 10 years, and I always knew about women in electronics, but somehow we didn't really do enough to promote that internally. And then what happened is that it started with a leader, right? So we got Don Akery, our CEO, to join the company as a CEO. And then, of course, he's part of your advisory board. And then he started really bringing that awareness, saying, well, these are the opportunities. You have these events, you have these opportunities to do some digital trainings, you have opportunities for podcasts. We started getting also statistics. So not to track people, but more just to understand how many people are actually using membership, how many people are, where do we need to put more focus to actually promote this more? And now we're actually considering to even assign a champion within our organization who's actually going to be championing these initiatives and reminding everyone of this opportunity. So maybe that's also my question to you, is that what is it that leaders can do more to raise awareness within the organization? I think each of us has that responsibility, and maybe we're not doing enough.
Oh, that's a great question. I love the question because the success we've seen at a lot of organizations with WE making a difference is when those top executives are involved. So the engagement and the involvement has to come from the top. So you're seeing it at Waldom because Don is promoting it and he's engaged. any of our sponsor companies that we have the C-suite involved, it's pretty successful and it really impacts their bottom line. So we have to focus that there's a financial benefit to this as well. It's not just a feel good. It's not just, oh, let's just do the right thing, although we should. It actually is critical to the bottom line. And really, if I look at it, I think of the broader picture of what we bring to the table as women innovators. So if we look at our end users and how we impact the market, it's really critical that we get more women to the table because we have such a different perspective. So if we look at global innovation, very essential that we do not kick the can down the road anymore. So that is something that's happened a lot. I think that leaders mean well. I think that in general, people are really good people. It's just these are complicated issues. It's really easy to just keep postponing and postponing, and it takes commitment, it takes investment, and it takes corporate values. So we always lead with our corporate values. This is a time, leadership is very different moving forward. Anyone leading an organization, if they're not leading with their values, it's just everything's going to fall flat. So what's reflected in that corporate table and that C-suite table, it really goes throughout the entire organization. So that's what I would say is if it's a part of the corporate initiative, if it's a part of the value of the organization, it can thrive.
Exactly. And then just to reflect over some strengths you mentioning about women, I really liked actually my eyes were, shining when you mentioned that yesterday, transformational leadership.
Yes.
Women bring a lot of that transformational leadership. There's that empathetic side of us, which I think is very good because you need that empathy when you work with people. Great communication skills, bringing really that great culture of open-mindedness. And so these are some of the really great qualities that we can bring to the table. And then I like how you mentioned that there are some more maybe areas that we need to work on, which is that self-confidence. Very often we have everything we need to have, but somehow when we get into the room for a meeting, we just feel like I'm not confident enough. So I think this is something that we really have to work on more.
Well, and I remember many years being in meetings and it was always me and the guys. And for a long time, I felt like there was something wrong with me, that I was thinking something very different than everybody in the room. And I was thinking, what is wrong with me? I just don't see this way. And I kept thinking I had a flaw in what I was thinking, but I look back now and I realize I should have shared those ideas. I should have shared because really all the data shows that when you don't, the company loses 19% of their relative returns in that gap. If we don't come and vocalize and say what we're seeing, it's actually costing the organization money. So I think that it is important for us to understand we have a lot of value. If we look at men, I would say the beauty of a man in leadership is they typically do come with a lot of confidence, executive presence, not afraid to share their opinions. A man, if you look at a job rec, if a man can do 60%, 50%, he's golden. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to learn it. I'm good. No problems. And that's what you really should do. Women, if we can't check 100% of the boxes, we don't apply for that next role, which is really detrimental. So we as women have to learn how to push past those barriers, be willing to learn, be willing to know that we don't know everything and that it's okay to learn. So I think that's where our male colleagues thrive in going to those next levels because they're willing to do that. They're willing to take the risks and the chances. Women typically are not. And so we have to be encouraged to do that.
That really resonated with me because I could see myself in there as well. I was thinking about it, the perfectionism that I'm always looking for. And if I cannot reach that 100%, as you said, I think another topic was really important yesterday that we covered. And it's about, of course, can you have it all in terms of being a mom and being also a very successful leader? And I'll be honest with you, because of that perfectionism and because I'm thinking, if I'm going to be a mom, I have to be the best mom and I have to be perfect. And if I'm going to be a leader, I have to be also a perfect leader. many women think like me, and they may think that they have to make a choice. They have to make a choice to only focus on career, or if they decide to become a mom, then they have to pretty much stop with their careers. And I think yesterday we've seen some really examples of great women that actually can have it all.
Yes.
And this was a very powerful message as well.
Well, and I think that we have to define what does that mean to have it all. So again, we're perfectionists typically as women, and it really helps us in the business world because we do a lot of things right. All the data shows women are incredibly competent. Men are confident, right? So if we could start getting more confident, we naturally have this desire to do really well. And I think what it is women, a community like Women Electronics is really important because, or We United, for women to support other women through these really tough times in life. I mean, when you're starting a family and you're working, it's incredibly challenging. And that's where, again, it's another superpower, that grit, that resiliency. Women can juggle so many things and can handle so many things and come back and really rise to the occasion. So I think that we have that grit that's needed in leadership. But I would say that I'm going to tell one quick story to encourage women to not put so much pressure on themselves. So I have a dear friend that I love and adore, Lynn Terrell. She's on our council. And Lynn has been a working mother, a very successful woman her whole life. But she, like the rest of us, has struggled with putting pressure on herself as being a working mom. Did I miss this? Am I really doing enough with that? And so anyway, she's struggled like the rest of us with all these thoughts of, have I gone too much? Do they know I love them? All these things. And missing a lot of things. So that's the thing. You're going to miss things. But it doesn't mean that it's going to impact the relationship with your children. So I was interviewed, fast forward years later, I'm interviewing Lynn. Her daughter is now grown in college, and it was during COVID, and we were doing an interview. So it was a couple years ago, and we were talking about this topic, and we were talking about women working, and she happened to say, I missed a lot of things. And I was trying to juggle work and home, and I did the best I could. And her daughter happened to overhear her. And this is the whole point. Her daughter came around on screen and said, Mom, I don't ever remember you not being there because you were always calling me. You were involved. I would tell you about things. She goes, I don't look at you as not being there. And Lynn and I were like, we were like practically crying. And then Lynn said to me, I wish I would have known all those years she would say that. So I just want to encourage other women that as long as you're calling in, you've got them protected, they're safe and secure with somebody watching them, you're calling them, you're emotionally engaged, they won't remember you actually weren't there.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's a very powerful message. Yeah. Thank you. So Jackie, maybe just the last question. I know you have big plans in terms of expansion. So what is next when it comes to Europe? Any other plans? I do have an idea, though. I think you should really consider Amsterdam as your next.
Yes, chapter. We are considering. We are,
because it's a great place. I mean, I know you're looking into a little bit going into tech as well more.
Yes.
Great hub. A lot of headquarters are in Amsterdam, of course, especially after Brexit. A lot of big companies moved there. Great, really well connected with many cities in Europe, but also in the States. And of course, you'll always have our support from Waldom if we can do anything to help you there. So,
well, I have to say, I'm really thinking through. I think it's going to be a fast and furious expansion. So I think I'll be over here quite a bit. We have a lot of interest across Europe. So we're developing the structure. So we have a council who's going to oversee the different chapters. So I'll be over here quite a bit trying to get that structure and the foundation really solid and in place. And of course, at all the kickoffs, I'll be there to support the chapters. So it's an exciting time. Right. And we will call on your support and all of our sponsor support. We're excited to expand here.
Great. Yeah, look forward to it. And I think, again, we just have to continue this great momentum you have. And we're more than happy to support you. So thank you so much for being here. I think the next opportunity probably will be a DDS for us to meet.
Yes.
You're going to be there, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you so much. And again, wish you all the best to you and, of course, everyone from your organization.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the support from Waldom.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.